Great. Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. I call to order the regular meeting of the Lakewood City Council on April 13th at 7:03 p.m. To connect with the council meeting online, please use the following links, either lakewoodspeaks.org or lakewood.org/council videos. For online public comments, you may post comments of any length to lakewoodspeaks.org, our online forum for public comments that will be left open through the evening tonight until 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. Anyone who would like to address the city will be given the opportunity during general public comment with a limit of 3 minutes for general public comment if you're not here for an agenda item, but of course we do have we have two other options relating to tonight's agenda as well. Will the clerk please start us off by calling the roll?
Mayor Strom.
Here.
Councilors LeBure.
Here.
Ryan.
Here.
Cruz K.
Here.
Black.
Here.
Charzai.
Here.
Sinks.
Here.
Cruzai.
Here.
Lowe.
Here.
Furman.
Here.
Nystrom.
Here.
Great. All present and accounted for, Mayor.
Thank you. If you are able to stand, I would ask you now to please do so to join us for the Pledge of Allegiance and remain standing for a moment afterward for a silent prayer or reflection. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All members of the City Council have the responsibility to comply with the terms of Charter 7.2B and excuse themselves from voting on any matter in which they determine they have a personal, financial, or business interest. The City Council is empowered by Charter 7.2B to agree by unanimous vote, excluding the member at issue, to excuse any member of the council from voting on a matter in which they determine such member has a personal, financial, or business interest. Before we get started with our business tonight, we do have a proclamation this evening celebrating Autism Awareness Month. And to receive that proclamation, we actually have Amanda Kelly here, President and CEO of Firefly Autism. So I will meet you up here at front at the lectern, and Councilor Isabel Cruz will be reading that to us this evening.
April is Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month. Whereas autism can affect anyone regardless of race, religion, socioeconomic status, or geography, and whereas individuals with autism benefit from specialized services and community support to ensure their health and safety and full participation in community life with partners like Firefly Autism, and whereas Firefly Autism is celebrating its 22nd year of serving autistic individuals and families in the Denver area, the Front Range, the Western Slope, and across Colorado, and whereas Firefly Autism empowers autistic individuals experiencing access barriers to thrive through personalized, strength-based programs and supportive community connections, and whereas the aims for Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month are to inform the general public about both the potential and needs of people with autism and to stress the importance of early diagnosis and early intervention, as well as the importance of providing appropriate supports that continue throughout adulthood. And whereas the City of Lakewood is committed to educating our community and ensuring that acceptance of all, including those on the autism spectrum, is truly valued for their unique personalities and talents. Now, therefore, on behalf of the City Council and the people of Colorado, of the City of Lakewood, I, Wendy Strom, Mayor of the City of Lakewood, Colorado, by virtue of the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim April as Autism Awareness and Acceptance Month.
We'll do picture first and then we'll do picture really quick first. Oh, and then I'll go up one.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect.
Hold on. Can you tell I haven't done this before?
I just want to say thanks so much to everybody. This means a lot to us. Autism acceptance is huge. We've come a long way, but we still have a long way to go. And we're very grateful to have our home in Lakewood, and we appreciate each one of you for this opportunity. Thank you.
Thank you. And thank you for choosing Lakewood to be the place where you serve your very important people. We're happy to have you here. All right. That takes us to our first point in our non-agenda public comment this evening. So being the first point in tonight's meeting, this is where the public is invited to speak to the City Council on items not on this evening's agenda. This is the initial period of public comment that will accommodate up to 10 speakers to provide comment on any matter other than an agenda item and does prioritize those with special needs. Speaking during this initial period does require sign up before tonight's meeting. So I've got the list here with me now. We will have another general public element for our night this evening after we get through the business of the evening. So for those of you that aren't signed up, there's more opportunities. There will be no pooling of time during this initial public comment period. The goal of public comment is to create an environment that welcomes all stakeholders to share their thoughts and their concerns. Whether your comments are left here in person or on lakewoodspeaks.org, I do ask that your comments be directed up here to the City Council, and that anyone in attendance here in chambers and or online respect the decorum of council chambers and practice civility. So that every speaker may be heard, I will also ask that speakers refrain from any audible applause or discord so that we can make sure that we're hearing everyone and we're moving timely through our conversations. For anyone in the audience that may be uncomfortable speaking in front of the room, we know that that happens, and you too are also welcome to leave a comment on lakewoodspeaks.org even though you're here, so feel free to do that. Any handouts, if anyone is here this evening that wants to give handouts to the City Council, we'll ask you to give them to our, assistant, will you, hold up your hands, and those will get distributed to the City Council after. And once you come up, we'll have you go ahead and state your name and your address, or your name and your ward, and then we'll get your 3 minutes started on the clock. So first up, I have Lenore Herskovitz, then Alexi Fernandez, and then Kai Martinez.
Just want to make sure this is working. Yeah, it sounds okay.
Thank you, Shay. Lenore Herskovitz, Ward 1. Now that the election is over and we have the next 6 months to work collaboratively on an improved zoning code, we can build on amendments that were left on the table and detailed suggestions from Lakewood Speaks. We can retain what is good in both the old and new zoning and eliminate and modify sections where it is needed. Let's utilize more interactive settings, such as the roundtable discussions and the development dialogues with participation from staff, council, and interested community members. Topics would include how to preserve neighborhoods while addressing affordability, support for sustainability and environmental improvements, traffic and infrastructure, need for oversight and language clarification or elimination. We would be happy to spread the word on these meetings to our supporters so all who want to take part in the process can do so. But to be clear, collaborating means equality at the discussion table. Our voices matter as much as yours. After all, the future of Lakewood is important to each and every one of us. Let's not repeat the mistakes of the past. Do not continue to underestimate your constituents and the strength of their desire to share in decision-making. Do not once again try to override the vote of the people by running to the state to suppress our wishes. It has already happened too often. Just in case you haven't been paying attention, each time an important issue surfaces, like the Strategic Growth Initiative, Belmar Park, and now zoning, the oppositional numbers against council actions grows. Our voices become stronger and louder because we've joined together for a common cause. It should not be an us versus them mentality that prevails. We are ready to begin work on a better plan, and hopefully you are too. Thank you.
Thank you. Alexi Fernandez.
Lexi Fernandez, Ward 2. The time is now, right now. This is the hour. This is the new dawn. This is the new day. Now is the time for residents, for Lakewood, and all her residents have named you her council. And this council is still new, and because of that, I'm not here to tear you down. I'm here to challenge you to be better than the last council, to listen, to take accountability, to reflect, and to act. Now, I'm a former New Yorker, so I gotta talk that. Every headline says the same thing: blowout, landslide victory. The people have spoken. Freedom rang, and what it said was clear. We want Lakewood to be green, and we want big money out of politics. I'll be honest, I would have been a no vote, but big developers should not be able to buy their way out of green space requirement. It's that simple. And Colorado is a home rule state. This is not the first time Lakewood has gotten legal interpretations wrong. The last mistake cost the city an estimated $40 million, and we are not in a position to absorb losses like that. So I ask, did we take accountability? No. We had Lowe do a 30-minute summarization of what legal just explained. We were told that the city did everything right and that the court got it wrong, but the reality is much simpler. The court only asked for a fair election, to do it the right way. It's not that complicated, and that is what this special election should have been about. A council willing to stand up to big money and powerful interests. And also, let's be honest about how this election was conducted. It was dirty. I was a former local campaign manager for Bernie Sanders, and somehow the big money side decided to label us MANGA. What does Donald Trump have to do with local zoning and green space? It's absurd, and it's scapegoating, and it's beneath this city. And finally, we need accountability, not just in words, but in structure. We need an independent board to investigate the city's actions, limiting public comments during elections, promoting one side through official proclamation, and using city resources in a way that undermines fairness. I will continue to fight for transparency and justice until we establish an independent oversight, because without accountability, there can be no reflection. And with no reflection, there can be no progress. Thank you.
Thank you. Kai Martinez and then Karen Gorday.
Thank you. My name is Kai Martinez, and I am from Ward 3. It is often stated, or let me preface, I am here to address the matter of the various statements that have been made in effect of violently displacing our unhoused neighbors, and to oppose this. It is often stated around Christmas and Easter, Emmanuel, God with us. I firmly believe this, of course. When Christ walked the earth with us, he stated that what you do for the least of these, our unhoused neighbors, you do to him. So tell me, why do you, some of you, stand before the suffering and poor as if their suffering is somehow malicious? Are you saying the suffering of Christ was malicious or is malicious? Because the suffering of the poor around you in which you have not helped is the suffering of somebody is not the suffering of somebody who is malicious. It is the suffering of Christ, Emmanuel, God with us, God who suffers with us. So please do not displace these people. Give them somewhere with a lock, an address, and a bed. Housing first does work when implemented correctly. That took me a while to come around to as well. Please choose care and action instead of continuing a deadly cycle of displacement. 15 to 25% increases in deaths in that population over 10 years after involuntary displacements have been seen, according to a University of Colorado study that included unhoused and transient people in Lakewood. Additionally, eliminating law enforcement measures such as the use of flock or axon passive monitoring cameras and replacing them with more rigorous active monitoring in collaboration with the school district, sheriff's office, and state Department of Transportation would also help our unhoused neighbors. Regards to the clerk.
Thank you. Karen Gorday.
Karen Gorday, Ward 5. Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Excuse me, I'm here tonight speaking for myself. I'd like to begin with a recent experience involving code enforcement because I believe it reflects a broader concern about communication and public trust. On April 2nd, I began receiving multiple reports that campaign signs were being removed in Wards 1 and 2. The explanation provided via those messages was that the signs needed to be 3 feet from sidewalks and streets. I reviewed both the old code and the updated code and confirmed the requirement is 2 feet. I then went to City Hall to seek clarification. In speaking with staff, I received a series of differing explanations. First, regarding the distance requirements, then whether the signs were on public property, and finally, whether they may have been within the public right-of-way. To better understand what occurred, I submitted a CORA request, and the response was limited. I share this not to assign blame, but to highlight a concern. When residents seek clarity and receive inconsistent information or are directed into formal processes for basic questions, it can erode confidence in our institutions. Which brings me to my second point. The past several months have been challenging for this community. This issue has created division, and it has also revealed a gap in trust between residents and this council. I've heard references to turnout in this election, and while turnout is one metric, the outcome itself is also important. Approximately 32 to 33% of voters participated, which is relatively strong for a special election, and more than 22,000 residents voted to repeal the ordinances. So for additional context, that number exceeds the number of votes cast to elect our current mayor. That level of participation reflects a significant portion of the community seeking to be heard. Last August, many in the community asked for more time and deliberation, and in hindsight, there may have been opportunities to slow the process and address concerns before they escalated to this point. So my request tonight is this. Take this moment as an opportunity to reflect, to engage, and to rebuild trust with the community. That begins with clear communication, responsiveness, and a demonstrated willingness to listen. Lakewood is an engaged community, and moving forward, I hope we can work together towards restoring confidence and bringing people back together. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes tonight's initial public comment period. Will the clerk please, well, first off, council, do you have any items we want to pull from the consent agenda? No? Mr. Robb, will you please read the consent agenda into the record?
The consent agenda is comprised of the following items. Item 4, resolutions. 4A, R 2026-22, approving an intergovernmental agreement with the Colorado Department of Transportation regarding the City of Lakewood's participation in the US 6 Wadsworth Boulevard Interchange Project. 4B, R 2026-23, repealing and replacing resolutions 2026-12 and establishing certain sewer fees for customers of the City of Lakewood sewer utility. 4C, R 2026-24, repealing and replacing resolution 2026-20, appointing and reappointing members of the Lakewood Planning Commission. 4D, R 2026-25, recognizing the outstanding service of City Attorney Allison McKinney Brown and authorizing a salary performance increase in acknowledgement thereof. 4E R 2026-26, approving an amendment to the public improvement loan agreement with 10 Sheridan LLC. Item 5, ordinances 5A O 2026-13, amending Lakewood Municipal Code 3.26, update definitions and clarify the types of public benefits that may be supported through the Economic Development Fund. 5B O 2026-14, adopting Title 14, Chapter 31 of the Lakewood Municipal Code, establishing the City of Lakewood Wildfire Resiliency Code and corresponding wildland-urban interface boundary map. 5C O 2026-15, amending Lakewood Municipal Code, Chapter 1401 to incorporate Chapter 14.31, of the Lakewood Municipal Code into the Lakewood Building Code. 5D O 2026-16, adding a new Chapter 5.29 to the Lakewood Municipal Code, establishing the Sustainability Advisory Committee. Item 6, approving minutes of the City Council meetings, regular meeting minutes from March 23rd, 2026.
Thank you. Okay, and I have one speaker signed up to speak on consent agenda, Ms. Natalie Menton.
Hello, Natalie Menton, Ward 5. I'm speaking regarding there's two items on the consent agenda that I'm concerned about. The first being the extension of the loan repayment for Trailbreak Investment Partners, which I'm going to start it up by just as a reminder what our Constitution states on public agencies giving out money, loaning money. It's very clear in Article 11, Section 2, talking about public indebtedness. Neither the state nor any county, city, town, township, or school district shall lend or pledge the credit. And it goes on. I don't want to waste too much time reading it. It's a very clear piece of our Colorado Constitution that's been around for a long time, and for a good reason. So now here we are with the city of Lakewood, who has loaned out $1 million to a private developer, and that loan was, which I would say goes against the Colorado Constitution in its plain language. And I know the lawyers will say it's okay because it's economic development, but the Colorado Constitution is very plain language. I have copies if somebody would like to read it, although I know you all swore to it before you took your seats to uphold it. But here we have the city of Lakewood, who has loaned out $1 million, was not put to a public vote, that's normal process, loaned out to them to be repaid September 2026. And now there's a request to extend this to September 2027. There's really no clear reason within the documentation that I saw as to why this extension should be granted. And it claimed that there were changes in ordinances, which I'm not sure what that is. The details really weren't in there, and changes to fees. And really all of this actually makes me really, really wonder what's going on behind the scenes. That's what it makes me wonder. And therefore I would like to see our city charter amended so that the voters get to weigh in on loans, on tax increment financing, and I think we should have that in our city charter, whether it's through council action or a citizen initiative, to put it in there. The developer wants to extend this, and they've been given sufficient time to come up with the money. This was supposed to be paid September of this year. I would hope the council would say no to the extension and tell the developer to go to their capital stack, meaning the investors, or go to a banking institution who actually issues loans. And then go back one step, we're issuing this loan at 0 interest, and now they want an extension. I could go on a little bit further, but then another agenda item further expands what this monies can go out to and delegates authority. Both of these issues are of great concern and should be corrected in our city charter. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes our public comment on consent agenda. Council, I'll open the floor. Any questions? Or why don't we go with the motion first?
Mayor Strom, I move for the approval of the City Council minutes, order all ordinances introduced on first reading to be published in the Denver Post with public hearing set for the date included in the ordinance, and for adoption of resolutions, all of which are included in the consent agenda items introduced into the record by the city clerk.
Second.
All right, we have a motion on the floor and a second, and one hand up. Counselor I. Cruz.
Thank you. Mayor, is it appropriate for me at this time to ask questions of staff for the consent agenda? Thank you. I would love to ask some questions of Mr. Chan on the loan, please, if you would. Thank you. I know you got some questions from some counselors, from the public. Would just love some explanation of sort of why this loan was made in the first place and what the ordinances that affected the timeline were such that this extension would be appropriate.
So the loan was first approved in 2023. There was a commercial property on 10th and Sheridan that was in great disarray and needing some support to remove the blight, improve the safety conditions of that property. The city had reached out to the developer to see if what are the possibilities, what are the options for that land and its future development. We approved the loan, the council approved the loan in 2023 at the zero interest so that we could see a project that was very difficult to pencil out in terms of its capital stack to move forward and provide that as an incentive. Since 2023, the economy has changed, the market has changed greatly. We have seen shifts in tide of how projects across Colorado are actually coming to fruition. We are also seeing that there's a lot of feedback from community where we are having to adapt to different ordinances and different resolutions, which is going to buy some time or delay time, extend the time for how developers are going to fulfill projects in our city. And so because of those two things, the market conditions and just adapting to parkland ordinance and the fee structures or fee and lieu structures to zoning code changes, there are a lot of things that the developer had to come to the table with and resubmit plans for approval from our departments. And they're asking for the extension just to match with the master plan development and the building permit extension that was extended for 1 year. And so that just matches up to their development approval plans. I do have the developer here if you would like to ask him questions directly. So I'll ask Doug Lenowitz, the founder of Trailbreak Partners, to come up.
Hi, good evening.
Hi, Mr. Lenowitz. Thank you for being here. Since this project is in Ward 2, I know I have heard about it. I'm not sure as many people in the public or some newer folks on council might have. So can you talk a little bit about why some of the timing of the specific ordinances around our zoning and also around the parkland dedication changes affected this project and kind of what that looked like for you all?
Sure, and maybe just a comment a little bit on the history of this. So we've been working in the Sheridan Transit Station area since 2015 and have been involved pretty closely with the community, with the Two Creeks Neighborhood Group, and developing middle-income housing as well as the apartment building over there. Delivered almost 500 homes in that area over the last 11 years. All during that time, some of you may recall there was a dilapidated shopping center on the corner there, the former Holiday Shopping Center. That's the property that we're talking about tonight. And so for years, when we had nothing to do with that shopping center, we were meeting frequently with elected officials, neighborhood groups, everybody in the city of Lakewood to try to find a way, hey, how do you unlock that and really reposition it, because it's been a drag on the community. We were fortunate after many, many years to be able to do so, and then that set off a very extensive planning and sort of visioning process. It was during that time that we were in conversations with the city and with the community about, hey, boy, this thing is still here. How do we make it gone? It's really an attractive nuisance. And that conversation led to what really turned into this economic development loan. It was really geared towards how do we accelerate abatement and demolition and bringing a blighted site to just a blank piece of ground ready for development. accelerated from the ordinary course of how development would happen. But for that, this would, these buildings would still be there. So it was really a partnership with the city that led to that. So that's the background of how and why this was structured the way that it was. It was also coinciding with, kind of the permit and when do you begin building the building. So we went through a very extensive process on that. As you've asked about, a number of things happened during that period. I said, I guess, first the broader market, candidly, since 2023, we've seen a real meaningful shift in Denver and across the metro area and across the nation in terms of interest rates, in terms of cost of construction, and a new wave of supply that has hit the market, and we're seeing that widespread. All of that is really relevant to tonight's conversation because it's made it significantly more difficult to responsibly move forward building a building right now. And so, as that was one factor that had to play. The good news is that's transitory. The passage of time corrects some of those things in terms of supply and otherwise. The second issue is the one that you were asking about, which is the required design and entitlements and things like that. So during the course of this, there's been changes in the regulatory environment. There's been a wide range of, or not a wide range, there's been several ordinances and initiatives that have been put forward. There's been rules changes along the way, and that happens in the ordinary course, but it's been a little more pronounced here in Lakewood over the last handful of years. Every time that happens, it has two effects. One, for us on our side, trying to figure out how do you plan to make a project come together, you have to take a step back and ask yourself, well, what do these changes do? How do they cause things to be redesigned or reconsidered? And similarly, on the city's side, on the staff side, who's reviewing plans as they come in, same thing happens. And so it causes things to take longer. While it was taking longer, we saw the macroeconomic environment change. So it was a sort of the confluence of those things that really came together that impacted this. So we've been working very closely, very openly with the city for some time, talking about the master plan and designs that have been put together there, and how do we make sure that we don't lose the years of work that have gone into that. And so that's taken the shape of the extension of the approvals for the design, for the building itself. And this piece is really a request to align the loan with that as well. So we have every intention to try to advance this building, but we are requesting the time and for that loan to coincide with it, which was its original purpose. I'd be happy to answer any other questions.
Councilor LeBure and then Councilor Ryan.
I was just going to make a comment. So I was just going to mention, we bought a home in Two Creeks, I think it was like 15 years ago or something. And I remember when you bought the home there, we saw this abandoned sort of, shopping center and thought, surely the city's going to do something about this one of these days. So this will be a great place to buy because it's a great community otherwise, but this is kind of a blight, on the corner there. And just kind of wanted to comment that, it was a long time coming and a lot of issues at that property before Mr. Ilanowicz's ownership of it. And I saw a lot of councils try to deal with it in a lot of different ways. It prompted the discussions about urban renewal on Sheridan. It prompted this discussions about property maintenance codes in the city as a whole. We had all sorts of issues. I think I met with Kathy talking about this with code enforcement and the police chief probably 4 times a year for, at least 4 years, talking about it. We've had the mayor, I think, flew out to California to talk to the previous owner because he, wasn't really engaged with the property before that, and previous, I believe, city managers also had those discussions, and previous economic development folks had discussions about that property. That property had fires happening at it from residents who made it their home, crime, so many police dispatches, trash, code issues. The issues went on and on and on. So I would just say we could have just paid $1 million to fix it, potentially as a city, and offered that up. I think a loan is actually a better opportunity because that means you might not, the city might get their money back in that situation. So I'll just say this was a long time coming, and this is exactly the kind of thing our economic development folks I think should be engaged with in helping, turn these, these properties that really aren't able to turn over or don't have the ability to change in something more productive for the community. I'm really proud that this property was able to be taken care of, and that we have a good person who has been engaged in the community for a long time building development projects. I was able to take it on as a potential project as well, and I think I look forward to seeing what happens in the future. So anyway, I just kind of want to give a little context and history there. I know, long-winded. Thanks.
Councillor Ryan.
So we've had projects come before, or we've had projects that the city council has discussed or heard public comments on, and we've been told that we don't have the ability to make changes because of plans have been submitted and it's a matter of right. You made reference to the fact that a lot of changes have happened. Are you now at the stage where you've submitted and you're far enough along the process where you get to build as a matter of right regardless of what changes council makes, so you don't have that issue? Or are we still working on this?
No, we've gone through the full design and entitlement and permit approval process, and we are working towards getting it to a position to be able to go vertical.
Okay. And then the second obstacle that I heard you provide some information on in response to Councilor Icruz's questions was that the market has changed. What level of confidence do you have that you won't be back here next year saying market has continued to be in the doldrums and you've not been able to get the project off the ground?
Yeah, well, it's a great question. I wish I had a crystal ball around those types of things, but I can tell you that we are proceeding with great intensity on the strategies to be able to get this property to go. The loan is secured; it's not an unsecured loan, right. So that's an important issue or piece of information for folks to understand. But more importantly, we're committed to this neighborhood and to this project. We are heavily personally invested in it and the outcomes there, and I think we've demonstrated that for the last 11 years in this area.
Let me try it a different way. Given the current economic situation, is the project viable enough where you feel like you can move forward at this time, assuming the loan is extended?
That is our objective, yes.
I understand it's your objective, it's your aspiration, but I mean, do you think you can actually, do you have plans to start building vertical or horizontal in the near future, say the next 9 months?
No, I don't believe it will launch in the next 9 months. I do believe we would be in a position to move forward with the construction later next year.
Okay, good. That's helpful. And then I suspect others will have questions for the developer. Just at some point, if legal could comment on the question that was raised in public comment. And it doesn't have to be now, it can be after our guest has had a chance to answer other questions.
Are you talking specifically about the Tabor question?
No, the constitutional question about the loan that was raised by one of our members.
And Councilor Ryan, if you would like that answered now, John Van Landshut with our office is present and can respond.
Yeah, that'd be fine. Thank you. I don't want to keep him waiting.
Yeah, so just to give some background, as Councilor LeBeer mentioned, this is sort of a longstanding issue for that part of the city. It is both a blight and it was also a public health risk. So when we looked at it, there were significantly high calls for service when the building was still standing. There was also some indication that it was becoming very difficult to keep people out of the building, that they were starting to use it as a place to habitate. And obviously that creates some risks for the community. So I think it's important to keep in mind that, here we are 3 years later and this building is down because of this loan. As to the legal question, it's not my opinion that this is permissible. It's the opinion of the Supreme Court. So we take direction from the Supreme Court. They've specifically said that you can not only lend money, you could also grant money if such money is given for a public benefit. So there are myriad public benefits with this loan, not the least of which is that this property has been down for several years.
Thank you. That's very helpful. Thank you.
Counselor Nystrom.
Thank you. That addressed one of my questions. Is there affordable housing being included in this project?
There is not currently an affordable housing requirement on this project, although that is something we are exploring.
Okay, well, I have a concern, and I've followed up with Director Chan earlier today, but we're talking about, we have loaned your organization $1 million interest-free. And now it looks like it's going to be extended into 2027, right? Is there going to be, you're talking about starting building not 9 months from now, but later than that. Is there a thought process where you might be back here next year asking for another loan extension?
That is not my thought process now.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have no more hands up.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much. Okay, we have a motion on the floor in a second. Just to back up, we are looking at the consent agenda as a whole. If anybody had any other questions regarding other topics on consent agenda, are we all good? Okay, all right. With that, please go ahead and cast your vote. That passes 11 yeses and 0 noes. All right. Will the clerk please read item 8 into the record?
Item 8A, second reading and public hearing on ordinance 2026-12, authorizing supplemental appropriations to the 2026 revised annual budget in the amount of $1,037,000 in the grant fund in recognition of grants received from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment, and $3.5 million in the Capital Improvement Fund to enable intergovernmental agreement with the Colorado Department of Transportation.
Okay, thank you very much. And I do not actually have anyone signed up to speak on this particular matter, so we'll go ahead and move forward. May I please have a motion on this?
I move for the adoption of ordinance O-2026-12 on second and final reading.
Second. Okay, we have a motion on the floor and a second. Council questions? All right, seeing no questions, please go ahead and cast your vote. Councilor LeBure, I don't have a vote for you. Thank you. And that passes 11 yeses and 0 noes. Okay, thank you, everybody. Now we are on to general public comment, session number 2. For that, first we have Robert L., then Patrick Fox, and then Gail Ryan. And again, same thing, please go ahead. When I call your name, move forward to the front. Introduce yourself with name and address or name and ward, and then we'll get your 3 minutes started.
Good evening. Hello, my name is Robert LeBay. I'm Ward 5. Last October, during zoning discussions, a Ward 1 councilor, Sinks, emphasized that the government functions as a republic rather than a direct democracy, explaining that citizens are represented by the elected officials and do not have a right to vote on an issue. In this scolding, the most important item was left out. Petitioning our government is how we make our voices heard when decisions no longer reflect our needs, our values, our freedoms. It is peaceful and powerful way to demand accountability, transparency, and change. When representatives stop listening, petitions remind them who they serve. Government exists to serve the people. When it fails to do so, it is not only our right, but our duty to petition for change. Thank you.
Thank you. Patrick Fox?
Patrick Fox, the horrible Ward 2 that I'm in. February 24th, let's just keep up with politics. Juris Polis could not make a stand for the American people about the aspects of what Trump was asking to stand for those American people. I do believe Colorado is the cause of 90% of the corruption that goes into our nation because of the contracts, government businesses on top of those aspects. And the drugs are all be peddling all around Colorado. Drought. If none of you know what a drought means on a biblical aspect, let me educate you real quick. Biblically, droughts symbolize divine judgment, a test of faith, a call of repentance representing both a physical hardship and spiritual bareness. Do any of you know what that means? It means you don't. It demonstrates God's sovereignty over nature, Kings 17, often signaling the need to return to him. Yet it also is used to break the humble and renew believers, Psalm 63, John 21. Judgment as discipline. Droughts were often sent as consequences of turning away from God, serving the consequence of curse prompt. Mind you, after my prediction, war happened almost not even a few days later with Iran. How do I know these things? Yes, I know where you're going. So testing dependence. God used droughts to teach dependency, forcing people to rely on the provisions such as Elijah who was fed off the brook of Corthus. Spiritual bitterness. It is a metaphor for a dry soul, a famine hearing the words. I could go to Salone's Lake, Morrison, all these wonderful places on my bicycle and my nice kilt and get nothing but a-holes from all of you. Do you understand? Your culture, this is every one of you. So putting that in, that's what we're going. I am to give you 3-year timeline, and you will be suffering divine judgment of all kinds through that aspect in time. I am not intimidated by a bunch of American slaves who are uneducated. You can Google those facts too if you'd like to. You understand? Or people who are fucking their own kids out of their own livelihood. You understand? I've been preaching this crap since Florida. You could ask them if I have any leniency of leaning my aspects away from their misery. No. They were fucking their own kids when I was doing this. Mind you, what makes me qualified in bragging about this? Well, August 26th, I kind of bragged about being bullied and harassed. All these paperworks that I have prove that I've been fighting drug addicts, prostitutes, gang members that your own police department cannot do. I'm investigating this crap myself, guys. I'm doing it. And you've got the audacity to ask for more money? Oh, you're going to be wondering what change is coming next, guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye. 3 years. You better figure it out, or you're going to be praying for Christ.
Thank you, Mr. Fox. Gail Ryan, and then I have Carolyn Wolfram, and then Joy Anderson.
Gail Ryan, 1181 Garrison Street, Ward 1. I just wanted to say before you start thinking about what to do next about the zoning issues, I suggest that each of you walk the streets of your wards the way we did while canvassing, noticing as you go the uniqueness of the homes that reflects the character of those neighborhoods and all the personal investments that have been made in those various homes, which make them unique within themselves. Also notice and count how many duplexes, fourplexes, townhomes, and small apartment buildings already exist within those neighborhoods, creating diverse options and more density already before you then count the diverse multi-use blocks along the transit corridors, and then finally the density of huge apartments and complexes near the light rail. Finally, note that there are areas within wards 1, 2, and 3 that have older, smaller homes with nice yards that used to be perfect starter homes for young families. And what happened is the focus of developers and city planners on creating density and increasing the tax base has increased the cost of those homes because the land is now worth more than the small house, creating the affordability problem. So it was apparent in much of the no messaging on this election that many of you either don't actually know the voters and community that you were elected to represent, or there was a lot of deliberate, deceptive messaging about things that we don't have. We have middle. We have middle. And I just hope that you would get to know, really know your wards before you make more mistakes. Because I've been in my ward 50 years and I love it. And it has changed a lot. There is a lot more density than there was, but we have accommodated all the changes so far without losing the character of the neighborhoods. And the people in those denser edges around our neighborhood, they walk their dogs and kids and ride their bikes in our neighborhoods. We need neighborhoods, not just city. Thank you.
Thank you. Carolyn Wolfram.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Carolyn Wolfram, and I live in Ward 5. I wanted to speak tonight behalf on a large group of people who remain worried about housing issues in Lakewood. I'd like to speak on behalf of the missing middle, the firefighters, the teachers, the seniors, the first-time home buyers, and others. In my own personal life, I am a teacher. There's no way that in the current conditions I can afford to live in Lakewood without my husband's salary. I'm not quite sure right now what to tell my 20-ish-year-old children about their ability to live in Lakewood. It's just not going to happen for them in the way that it is now. I work with a lot of firefighters who live way far away. They can't live in Lakewood because of the issues that we are experiencing now. I applaud your efforts to rezone and to give us really viable options to make it so that all of these groups and so many more, my students with disabilities could live in this wonderful community. And so again, I applaud your efforts to keep up those zoning. I applaud the hundreds of thousands of contacts that you made with members of our community to make that happen. And I remain hopeful that we can have a Lakewood that is inclusive with housing so that everybody can live in Lakewood. I just feel like that we can still make that happen. And I just wanted to speak for those people because there's a lot of them out there. Thank you.
Thank you. Joy Anderson.
So I'll make this as brief as I can. I wanted to just review something that I think Jacob wrote after the zoning map, and I think you used to be a ward counselor during the last rezoning, or right around that, right after that time. Yeah. Anyway, I'm going to read you what he wrote. This was last October 14th, the day after you put the map through, same night you amended it. And he said, at the heart of this, I believe Lakewood can only move forward with the consent of the governed. That principle, trust between the people and their representatives, is what gives legitimacy to every decision we make. And that's what I fear may have been lost in this process, the ability to bring people together and along with us to move the city forward. So I will say my father was probably one of the most amazing people you'll ever meet. He was a beautiful soul and probably inspired a lot of people. He was a teacher and he was a minister. And one thing he told me when I was young is that he would trust me until I gave him reason not to trust me. And then I would have to earn his trust. And the problem that you have up there right now is people do not trust you anymore. And that is a sad statement of affairs. And you can demean how many people did not vote in this election, but the people that it mattered to turned out. 32 to 33% is actually very high for a special election. So I think what needs to happen moving forward is you have to step back and not say, This was pushed forward by people who were misinforming and a couple of bad actors. Roger, I have to quote you every time I come up here because you just give me so much fuel. And so that was on your Facebook page. And I think that you have to sit back and say, what did I do wrong? It wasn't that you weren't warned. I sat here in the first meeting and I'd never been involved in anything like this before. Ms. Nystrom over there said we did not tell people in the right manner. We should have sent out flyers. We should have sent out things. It wasn't that you didn't have contacts. It just was those contacts were not the right way to message to people. And I think you have to look at your own campaign, which I also have a problem with, what is it, 9 out of 11 of you campaigning against the citizens that you are here to represent. You should have stayed neutral. That is inappropriate. That's what takes trust and stomps it right into the ground. People don't trust you anymore because they think that you are going to represent yourselves and your agendas, not the people that voted you in. And people voted you in, you're here by their mercy, they can vote you out as well. And I don't know any of you. I
Ms.
don't know you
Anderson, your
personally.
time has expired.
And you're all probably very fine people. I would imagine you are, or you wouldn't be sitting in front of me. But you need to listen to people.
Thank you. All right, and that closes our second portion of general public comment tonight. Thank you, everyone, for coming this evening. That brings us to general business. I have one thing that I am going to mention on general business tonight, and this relates to City Council's future agenda. Next week, we have slated right now on the calendar a study session to address codes 2.52 and 2.54, campaign finance and ballot issues. That topic is not ready for discussion, so what we are going to do, for those of you that may have followed our City Council prioritized goals for 2026, having a conversation about the charter and updating the charter is one of those priorities. And so next week, what we'll do is we did seat a temporary committee to address charter, and they will have their initial meeting next Monday night in lieu of our study group, or study session. So just wanted to make note of that. Do I have any questions? Did council have any questions about that calendar change? No? Okay. And that's all I've got on general business. We do not have an executive report this evening, so we'll move forward to our city council reports. And why don't we start with Ward 5 tonight?
Okay, thank you, Mayor. I just want to say thanks to everybody from Ward 4 and 5 that turned out for the ward meeting this past Saturday. Our sustainability manager, Katie McCain, did a presentation on composting and a number of other topics. We had some great discussions, and I appreciate the opportunity to bring everybody together. I don't have a lot to add since we just had our ward meeting, but I just want to remind people that next Saturday, if you purchased a tree, next Saturday is the pickup day. I had a panic attack during the ward meeting because I thought it was actually last Saturday, so good news there. We have a member of Ward 5 who is hosting Blue Zones meetings, educational meetings. His next meeting will be tomorrow at 6 p.m. at South Wadsworth Boulevard, and there'll be a registered dietitian there. And that's really, one other thing is Westgate was just approved as one of the new sustainable neighborhood, and I think that's a great thing. I think the city opting to include 3 neighborhoods is really awesome, and I think we'll get a lot more citizen engagement as we continue to grow this program. So thank you.
Thanks, Paula. I was going to make similar comments. I just want to thank everybody for who came out to the Ward 5/4 meeting on Saturday. I want to thank Katie McLean on the city sustainability team. She did a great job presenting about the composting program that we're very excited about. I want to thank the residents for eating the donuts, so I didn't eat them all. And I want to thank citizens who took time to vote last week, and just want to recognize I do feel that, you know, the voters are looking for some sort of different approach. I mean, that's what we heard at the ward meeting. That's what we've heard from a number of folks. Not the first time I've seen this, and I think there are strategies we could do to help with that. And so it's something we'll definitely look at, you know, if things or as things move forward. So thanks.
Ward 4.
It's going to start to sound redundant, but thank you for everyone who came out to the joint ward meeting. I don't have a ton of things to add. I did want to say, obviously, I feel like I'm stealing somebody's thunder by saying about the state of the city, so I'm going to leave that leave that alone. But there is
that one up.
the April 25th Earth Day Volunteer Day is you can register for that online. The one thing I wanted to add was, I think the best way of putting it is I am, and this might be surprising to some, but I'm actually very optimistic by the number of people from the Yes campaign who came out and talked today. And what I'm optimistic about was the tone of the people who came out and spoke was not about sort of some sort of obstruction to the idea of subtle changes we need to make or things we may need to do, but a comment about how do we get together as a community and talk about what changes need to happen. And so I will say I am grateful for those who came out and spoke, mostly because I think there was a genuine interest in being able to work together on solutions. And it feels weird to say this, but I'm actually very excited about the opportunity to be able to work together on this. So that's it. Thanks.
So that I'm not redundant, I will keep it to just, we are going to need everyone's input, and we're all available, and we will meet you where you are, whether it's a coffee shop or at the dog park if you want to talk. You need to reach out to us, and we need to reach out to you. So as they say, the phone rings on both sides. So please reach out to us if you haven't had a conversation with us. I'd love to hear from you.
Ward 3.
Thank you. We do have a ward meeting tomorrow at Lakewood Social House, one of the lovely places in Ward 3 in Belmar that Ken Cruz operates, open to lots of folks. It's at 369 South Teller Street from 4:45 to 6 p.m. And our guest is going to be Chris Connor, the head of the Housing and Thriving Communities Division, who's going to talk about the recently opened Navigation Center and the 100 beds that have been brought online in the last month with trauma-informed design. Hopefully will really help us in the city's fight against homelessness. So really looking forward to that conversation. Also, the Sounds Exciting concert series has been released. So go ahead and get tickets to go see music in Belmar Park. And was there anything else? I'm honestly a little, I would respectfully ask for another week or two to sort of process what happened last week. I don't know that I'm ready to fully discuss it tonight, but I do, let me just say a couple things. First, what Councilor Furman said, I totally agree. I appreciated the generosity of some of the comments that I heard tonight. Look, obviously, folks have heard me speak about this a lot. I'm not going to rehash things that I've said over and over again. I mean, it is true that about 30% of people voted in this election. In a general election, 85% of people vote in Jeffco County. That's low turnout. But it is also true that when we got the initial ballots a week ago, it looked like 20% of people are voting. Now it looks like 31%. That's a big improvement, honestly. For a special election, which tend to be very low turnout affairs, that turnout was higher. The quote that was brought up earlier today, the point that I have made and that I stand by is that there were a couple people that pushed things that were just wrong, probably honestly on both sides. But I did see, for instance, when I saw lawn signs over and over again that said "Don't bulldoze our neighborhoods," that was a distortion of what the zoning code did. And I do think a lot of people voting didn't fully understand what was in the zoning code. Now that said, elections have consequences, and I fully acknowledge that. This is an important election. And I don't want to sugarcoat this. It was a very decisive defeat of the zoning code. I wish, and this isn't a requirement, folks don't have to extend grace to us up here. I do wish folks would understand that there were charges leveled against us that we were doing this because we were pushing, policies because we're in the pocket of developers. And folks, I'm just a guy up here representing Ward 3 who is spending an awful lot of time getting involved in city government. And my number one reason for getting involved and sitting up here and getting an awful lot of comments, and frankly, sometimes taking a little bit of abuse, which I know we all do, is because I really, really want to make Lakewood more affordable. And I heard that over and over on the campaign, and I continue to think it's really important. My Facebook page has been quoted a number of times in this chamber. If folks want to go read, the 15 different links that point to all the ways in which this really, really, really would have helped with affordability, even though folks kept saying that's not true, they can. But what I also accept is, we took a swing at a set of policies that I truly believe and continue to believe would have made Lakewood more affordable. And by a 62% margin, Lakewood voters just didn't want it. And that's just a tough reality that I have to accept. I am genuinely very committed in working with folks, including a lot of folks who passionately disagreed with the zoning code and passionately disagree with the arguments I made, on an approach that actually will help with affordability that folks in Lakewood can support and find consensus for. And I think there actually are a lot of other things that we can do that wasn't the zoning code, that wasn't what we tried to pass, that would make a difference for that. So I do hope that we'll have an opportunity over the coming weeks and months and years to work on an approach that will build more consensus. Yeah, elections have consequences, and I fully accept that, and I acknowledge that the zoning code was decisively defeated. It makes me very sad, because I think it was a set of good policies. But you know what? In public service, you have to, you have to accept that you're representing a bunch of people, and sometimes people just disagree, and you have to go with that. So I accept that the citizens of Lakewood did not like this code and that we need a different approach.
So I want to start off first that Lakewood has launched a new pilot Shop Lakewood initiative, and this is going to be powered by a free app called Open Rewards. What it does, it allows you to shop at small local businesses. Shoppers earn 5% on rewards, and it just allows that money to stay within our city and our local economy. It is being piloted along West Colfax as well as North Dry Gulch Improvement Project, but it is a pilot program. Definitely encourage everyone, please support your local small businesses and take advantage of this amazing pilot program. Over the past several months and weeks leading up to the election, I had the opportunity to connect with a lot of you, many of you in this room, whether it was hosting roundtables, community tables, or just one-on-one discussions. And what this process has really shown to me is that people truly care about their city and the future that is before it. And I think the biggest thing, with hearing the mix of emotions tonight and after the election, some residents feel heard during this outcome, and others are asking what comes next. And I think both of those perspectives truly matter in this moment. And this is what I say. For those who voted yes or voted no, or for those who did not vote, I encourage you to stay engaged and do not leave the table. I can guarantee that I will be hosting another set of zoning roundtables to continue the conversations of how we can do better, of how we can build trust. So please, again, don't leave the table and stay engaged.
Word 2.
Yeah, just one quick update. We have our Ward 2 meeting this Saturday, April 18th from 9 to 10 a.m. It will be at the residences at Creekside, which is a Metro West Housing Facilities property. We're really excited to host in a different location to maybe meet some new residents. It's going to be an informal coffee meeting. Bring your own mug if you have it for environmental purposes, and we will have coffee and also snacks on site. And then I just wanted to mirror all of my counselors in saying this has been a really informative and really nuanced discussion about zoning. And I just want to remind us as we move forward that our role in community is to think not only about the place that we sit today, but also the future of what our community looks like and what type of city we're building for our children, for other residents, for the people that want to come into this space and be here, not just today and in the future. And I would just remind us that at the end of the day, people are more important than structures. And that is really something I want us to keep in mind as we continue to move through this dialogue. Always at the end of the day, human beings are more important than structures. And that's all I want to say. Thanks.
Thank you. Just want to shout out my fabulous co-colleague for, I think, being the only one of us who wasn't here through the whole zoning process on this side of the dais, and I think you've handled what has been a shocking entry very well. So appreciate you, Councillor Black. For some other events, we just want to make sure folks know in the community, there's some exciting cleanup events to continue to beautify our fabulous West Colfax corridor. So on Saturday, there's going to be a Wash the City event, a Tri-City cleanup organized by the Lakewood Police Department and Iron Sharp Community Foundation, Saturday from 9:30 to 2 p.m. The Colfax Spring Cleanup is also coming up. Mark your calendars for Saturday, May 9th from 7:30 to 9:30 a.m. And then there's also going to be a West Colfax Sculpture Walk Refresh, including mulching, planting, watering, and reinvigorating a corner where nature and art meet. Shout out to Trevor Wolfson for putting that language together. Saturday, May 23rd, 8 a.m. to noon. And then also, since the City of Lakewood will not be having the Earth Day celebration, some neighbors in Applewood and Morse Park put together an Earth Day celebration that I think will be fabulous, so check it out. It's going to be at the Clemens Community Center next Wednesday, April 22nd from 4 to 7:30 p.m. So lots of ways to engage in community, and it's also annual meeting season, so we'll see y'all in O'Kane Park and Iber and Two Creeks, etc. And I think just to echo some of what my colleagues have been saying, I am really heartened by the tone tonight and a lot of the conversations I've had over the last week. I think something a thread that got lost throughout a lot of the conversation was really what we were all having passionate conversations and arguments about was policy, right? And I think that for many of us, right, which is understandable, it started to feel personal. And so I look to the, placard on the back of being hard on the issues and soft on the people. I think from what I heard from people on all sides of this and from what I've shared from my values, I think a lot of us are approaching these issues around zoning with shared values and really different visions of how we make those shared values come to light. So I really do look forward to having those conversations, trying new approaches, and moving forward in a way that makes Lakewood the city we all want it to be.
Word one.
Yes, thank you. There's a lot that's been touched already. I do want to just remind folks, we know that drought restrictions are impending, and this summer the city is partnering with Resource Central to help with a $750 discount on lawn replacement program. You can find out more information on the website if you do a search for lawn replacement. I won't, there was a lot of great updates that came from other counselors here. So the only other thing I would just say is, yes, I hoped for a different outcome, but I also recognize and accept the decision that was very decided in the recent special election. And just as you've heard from other counselors up here, I am committed to the work that is ahead of us, and I know that we're still defining what that looks like, and understand that there is a desire and appreciate the tone that we saw today from folks that were coming out, that there's hope on both sides that we can come together with the common goal of continuing to make Lakewood great. And I'm looking forward to what that will look like moving forward, and understand that there are consequences for these elections, and just appreciate the folks that did come out and vote for this. And that's it for me.
Thank you. The mayor sent us all a really great email that I really thank you for. The third point was about leadership, and I hope I'm not stealing your thunder, but I'll just quote one thing. Policy is better when diverging opinions find places they can intersect and grow from. And then she writes, I have no doubt that we can get there, end of quote. So thank you for your leadership. And we're trying. No, we're not. I see a shake of head. You know, we have a divergence of opinion about policy. And that's what democracy is, right? And so I remember last summer at a ward meeting, I forget who our speaker was, and the way we have it, we have a speaker and then questions about the topic, and then we step back and say, okay, what other questions do you have? And I remember going away from that meeting and saying, what? There weren't any questions about zoning at that meeting last summer. I was kind of surprised. And so right now, let's keep striking while the iron is hot, which means, yes, stay engaged. Read the zoning code, both of them, and say, let's keep this. Let's get rid of this. You know, and so come with some real facts, not just, you know, and again, the great ideas that we heard on getting together. I got together, as I'm sure all the counselors did, we got together a lot. I like going to Ziggy's, and I've met there for hours and hours. Well, let's not stop that. Let's, you know, get a hold of me, call me up and say, hey, when can we meet at Ziggy's or anywhere else you want to meet? And show me the zoning code and like this is what we want to keep in the old one. This is what we want to get rid of in the new one. And so come with some facts that this should work. No, this one won't work. And so yes, we want to hear from you, and we want to hear specifics. We want to hear from your work that this policy would work with these diverging opinions. So we're all individuals. Sitting up here doesn't mean that we lose our individuality. And so, yeah, we can have differences of opinions, and yet, as the people speak, which they do, although they don't, to address, we still live in a democratic republic where we have representatives. And is there ever a time when citizens get to directly vote? Of course. But do you vote on everything? No, you don't. And so maybe that was misconstrued that, you get to vote on some things. You don't get to vote on everything. And yet you did get to vote on this, and we're very happy now to move forward and work specifically with you. So let's keep striking here, and let's work to get it right. Let's work to get a really good zoning code that helps all of the people in Lakewood. Thank you.
All right, to bring us home, and it's not midnight yet. Are we ready to stop? No. Okay. To bring us home, I want to start off by saying thank you to the 35,000 people that did show up and cast your votes. I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on that tonight. You've heard a lot of comments on both sides of that. I will say that after working for 1 year on a project, almost a full year on a project, I'm proud for the work that I did, and I understand that it didn't hit the right spot for everybody, and like the rest of council up here, I'm really excited for the opportunity for us to reimagine what that can look like and how we do that differently to make sure that we do a better job of letting you guys know that it is really, truly, fundamentally important that we do preserve the character of our neighborhoods. That was never not the intention. With that, I want to send out a huge congratulations for the opening of the Navigation Center, for our Homeless Navigation Center. It was absolutely incredible. I want to thank Chris Connor for all the work that he did to get this project going. If anybody has ever been involved in construction, you know that the timelines rarely stick to what you think they'll be, and problems always pop up, and boy, did he handle it. with absolute grace and just moving through and plugging through. And they got there, and we were fortunate to, now we're partnering with Volunteers of America Colorado to run that facility moving forward. And what an honor it was for us. We got an invite to go and serve a meal. And if you are ever having a hard day, go serve a meal. Go serve a meal. I ate with people that did not have teeth because they could not care for them. And to hear about their families and their life circumstances. And one man, because his wife died. We're all very close. So like, it just is incredible to me. I want to say thank you for Volunteers of America for the work that you do every single day, because that is truly God's work right there. So amen, that we now have this amazing asset within our community. But I also want to impress on the fact that this does not mean that we're done. There is a lot that is still in need across our community. We have a lot of conversations going on right now about how we continue to make, especially our West Colfax corridor safer for every human being, whether you're in a house, whether you're not in a house, whether you own a business, whether you work in a business. Like, we want to make sure that these public spaces are safe and clean for everybody. So we will not continue this work until we get there. We do have coming up on April 30th, another convening of our community, if I can say the right word, county partners, so that we're really working together as a cohesive unit to continue to provide the housing and the resources that our unhoused needs, but also across the county. So it's not just here in Lakewood, it's not just on Colfax. We're meeting the needs of our residents wherever they are. So very excited about that coming forward. So just wanted to let you know that while we are celebrating, this does not mean the work is done. This does not mean that we're going home and we're kicking our feet up. It means we've got one more great thing, but we're moving on. And then the last one, I'll just briefly mention, many of you guys may have seen it already. We have a State of the City, finally, coming up on Wednesday. 4:00 p.m. is where we will be, right here across the plaza over at the Lakewood Cultural Center. Really great if you RSVP online, but at this point, we have room, so just come. Just come and tell your friends. This is an opportunity for you to hear from us directly. What is going on? What are the celebrations that we have? What are the challenges that we have? And what is it that council's looking at as we move forward into 2026? So I'm really excited for us to be able to come and reconvene together finally for a State of the City address. And I do hope that for those of you that are engaged and interested in the future of our city, that you will join me at 4:00 on Wednesday. And I do have a special announcement that day. Oh, and the other thing is it actually will be available. I'm sorry, I'm excited. Okay, I'm not going to apologize. So it will also be on Lakewood 8. You can sit in your living room and you can watch it there too. And I would imagine, just like we do most everything else, it'll probably be up on YouTube soon thereafter. So please join us on Wednesday or after. And that is it. So seeing no more business for us to attend to this evening, I will go ahead and adjourn our meeting at 8:26.